It is time now for Money Power Politics. And this evening, the president's trade policy took another hit. The U.S. Court of International Trade ruled against the president's 10% global tariffs, saying they are invalid and unauthorized by law. Remember, back in February, the president signed an order imposing these import taxes just hours after the Supreme Court struck down most of his first round of tariffs. Brooke Masters joins me now. She is the U.S. managing editor for the Financial Times. And our boy, Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. And guess what? This little boy is starting a brand new media company, all his own, Platypus Economics. Congratulations to you, Justin. But you are not getting the first question. What do you make of this decision, Brooke?
I think it was in some ways predictable. They have been trying to use 1970s laws to do things that no president has done in the 50 years since those laws were passed.
Yeah, because it didn't make any sense.
It's certainly an interesting interpretation of the law.
Justin, the administration hasn't even finished refunding the billions from the previous tariffs. How significant is this? Like, what's the actual impact?
Well, it's a big deal, which is it makes a dumb tariff a little bit more dumb and moves us to the next dumb stage of this dumb trade war. So the legal authority they were relying on was one that applied whenever there was a balance of payments deficit. Now, there hasn't been a balance of payments deficit of any size in the United States for at least 50 years. Literally, it's impossible. Our balance of payments deficit is $0. This was always a stopgap measure. The original tariffs are unconstitutional. These ones are unconstitutional. And eventually they're going to have to get round to a whole bunch of other tariffs that are a bit more work and a bit more of a pain in the ass, and they're not very good at getting their homework done. There is a secret way around this. If you've got a good idea, I've heard, you can take it to Congress and pass a law, and the Supreme Court gave Congress the power over tariffs.
The Supreme Court may have given Congress, but they're forgetting Congress has decided to stop doing their jobs for the last few years. I want to cover a new topic, though, because let's talk about the markets, which are different from the economy. We've seen strong corporate earnings. We know AI and the future of AI are not just keeping the markets afloat, they're keeping markets very high. But I want to share some things we learned today. McDonald's CEO said on their earnings call, McDonald's, that consumer spending is getting a little bit worse. The CEO of Papa John's says his customers are now trading down to smaller pizzas. The CEO of Kraft Heinz tells the Wall Street Journal that consumers are, quote, literally running out of money at the end of the month. And Whirlpool said today that they haven't seen demand this soft since 2008. What does all that tell you?
K-shaped economy. People at the bottom half of the economic ladder are struggling, and they don't have a lot of space to absorb the extra cost, particularly of higher gas prices. And as those higher gas prices feed through to everything else, like the cost of your stuff at McDonald's, because it has to get trucked there, remember. And so therefore, what we are seeing is most consumers who don't have extra money are really, really squeezed.
Then help me understand this. And Justin, I'm coming to you in 1 second. I've been saying it all week. I just came home from the Milken Conference, right? Filled with the most successful investors who are talking about this like these are the go-go days. So beyond this K-shaped economy, is the ultra 1% so disconnected from the rest of the world? If you take the Forbes 400, right, richest people in the world at the end of the Biden economy, their wealth has exploded in the last 2 years.
Absolutely. And they are more and more isolated from it. If you look, people are living in penthouses and in, gated communities, and they don't even ski with the rest of us. They have to have their own ski lift.
They're not they're not going to the same airports. They're not going to public doctors. They're truly living in another dimension.
They absolutely are. And another thing to remember is that stock market boom. If you look at the S&P 500, it's the narrowest boom we've had in history. It's all dependent on a few companies. And if you happen to be a part of those companies, great for you. If you don't, bummer.
Justin, it feels like so many people, so many actual economists, just like you, business leaders that run real companies with real consumers, are sounding the alarm. I just mentioned I was with Wall Street investors that are in this land of everything is great. And the other people that think that are our leaders in the White House. Watch this.
This is an administration, the first Trump term and the second Trump term, all about lowering energy prices and an incredibly successful record in doing that.
You saw yesterday energy prices came down below $100 a barrel. We're in a good place.
We're in a good place? I guess maybe I'd like to think Sean Duffy watches this show, but maybe he doesn't and doesn't realize that gas in California is over $6 a gallon. But he's welcome to watch or come on.
I just love the idea of an energy secretary boasting at a moment like this. I mean, it baffles me. Look, Steph, I actually have a PhD in economics. I studied for years. I've read thousands of research papers. And right now I'm on television trying to tell the energy secretary that energy is expensive. It's not that hard.
But then explain what's happening. Explain to us what is happening that you are watching the energy secretary, the transportation secretary on TV, speak to the American people and say the opposite of what our actual lived experience is. You heard me just rattle off to Brooke what we're hearing from McDonald's, from Papa John's, from Whirlpool.
Look, Steph, you just turned me from enjoying a laugh to actually a deep sense of angst. This is the post-truth moment. Some of us believe there is a thing that's called the truth. And if we can't speak to it, if we can't recognize it, if we can't see the problems of our neighbors, we can't address them. This is a profound shift in how American politics works. It's one that throws all expertise out the window, but it's not just expertise, it throws out reality. And more than anything else, that really fundamentally offends me.
For the past 2 years, the Trump administration has talked about an economic boom. They have talked about this new golden age for America. Brooke, that golden age has not come to pass. It has come to pass for exactly the group you and I were just talking about, this sliver of the wealthiest of the wealthy. Given that, how is this going to land with voters? Because that wealthy sliver of voters that I'm talking about are panicked about a wealth tax, but they're not realizing the reason that wealth tax could be knocking on their door is because their wealth is exploding and the average voter is watching a president and an administration making billions of dollars for themselves while people can't make ends meet.
You'd certainly see it in the popularity figures. Trump's popularity is at lows for this administration. And a lot of that are the independents and some of the Republicans who voted for him on pocketbook issues. So I think it is starting to come home. It's worth remembering it's going to be very complicated to see how this shows up in elections because of all the redistricting that's going on. But yes, I think the voters are starting to feel that there is a difference between what they're hearing from the Trump administration and what they're seeing in their lives.
Justin, how do you think it's going to land with voters? Because sort of the people that it's really working for, the wealthiest of the wealthy, are experiencing this boom, are experiencing this golden age, but it's a tiny sliver of very wealthy Americans versus the rest of the country.
Mate, it's not just a let them eat cake moment. It's like, let's grab them in a headlock and stuff some damn cake down their mouths. It's not just that. You add on to this, like at this moment, gas prices are high, food's expensive. It's hard for the Obamacare subsidies expired. Very hard for a lot of working middle-class families to get by. At this moment, the Senate Republicans are looking for $1 billion for a ballroom. We used to have an east wing of the White House. Someone knocked it over without legal authority to do so, and it's in a rubble. As soon as I find out who did that, I'm going to be very, very angry.